Good morning, everybody. It's Friday again, so today is Face-to-Face Friday. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the power of savoring. So I had a great week. I was mostly offline for a week, except for posting some photos where we were. We went up north, north of the north end of Portugal on the border to Spain, where Galicia is at, and enjoyed a couple of old cities and looked at some land and met some really interesting people. So I want to talk about savoring because it's a part of the program, a part of the quest that we all have for deep joy. And so, I talked a lot about savoring things like gelato and my favorite foods over the summer. And that's all fun, and that is a perfectly a part of savoring. Certainly enjoying whatever is in the moment here, and the value of those things in our lives and how they help us to slow down and really focus our attention. But there's also a kind of savoring that has to do with honoring and savoring the past and the people from the past and the places from the past. For example, one of the places that we went to was to Valença, and Valença is, I think, a town from, I don't know, Roman days, I believe. And there's a fort there from the 1500s, I think. You can tell I really get my historical details accurate. Um, Anyway, it's a very cool old fort town. Once you drive in, you actually drive in under two bridges. There's the outer city, and then there's another moat, and then there's another um, tunnel into the inner part of the city. And much of the fort town is still set up as the fort was originally. It's kind of a star-shaped, kind of an oblong star shape, and it looks across to Spain, and it also looks across to parts of Portugal. And it's really, really quite amazing. And when you sort of live in that space, and there's actually people who live inside of the fort still today. It has shops and restaurants and places to live in there and hotels and such. It's just the imagination of the history that these people bring to the country of Portugal in its past and protecting what it was in the days when the fort was still a fort. And then also just enjoying the fact that the fort is still there and these people are still enriching the lives of not only the locals, but also, of course, of all the visitors that come to Portugal these days. Well, not in the days of COVID, but before the pandemic. So Valence is a really important city because it's right across from the old original bridge that went into Spain to Tui, and it's where also the pilgrims passed on the way, the Santiago de Compostela Camino, which takes you all the way north into Spain to the original endpoint of the Camino. I read a note that said 88,000 people passed through Valença in 2019 as pilgrims. I imagine this year the number is a very tiny, tiny percentage of that. But anyway, it's the savoring of the past and the value that these places and these people brought to the lives of people back then, and also they still bring to our lives today. So I think that places like that and things that are in your own history, places that are in your own location, whether they're family members, friends, or places, things like forts and things like that, that bring a richness to our history and a richness to ourselves, those are things to be savored as well. And one of the old men that we met along the way, his name was Candido, and I'm sure he must be 80 or 85. But we met him along the way, and we were looking at a particular piece of land, and Candido's lived next door to this land, I think, for 20 or 30 or 40 years. And he knows where every rock is that marks the corner point of each section of this land, more so than the geological survey that maps the land. So it's that kind of richness that I love in life, and that I think is an important part of the quest for deep joy. The past helps us shape the past shapes our own history, and it shapes our character. And it takes savoring to really care about things like that. So I know sometimes we're wrapped up in our own present, and certainly savoring the present moment is important as well. But when we can, it's good to look back, and not only to look at the high points and the fun moments, but also to remember that the sorrows and the pains are also part of what shape our character, and that we can savor those as well, not in necessarily in a positive way, like we don't remember them as fun, but we remember them as meaningful and in how they shaped our character. So so that shaping our character and the savoring of the current moments in the past is also what then gives us our confidence and our resilience to move on and paint our future, right? To actually act in our future. And if we have a purpose that we've defined, whether that means taking care of our loved ones and our children or our elderly ones, whatever that purpose is in your life, some people have bigger purposes like delivering water to parts of the world that don't have free water. So, whatever your purpose is, however narrow or small it is, or however global it is, part of remembering our past shapes our character, and part of remembering all of that is what allows us to paint our future and to give us that power to actually deliver our purpose into the world. So, I hope you guys have had as wonderful a week as I did, and I hope you have a great weekend. As we say in Portugal, bom fim de semana. Ciao. I'll see you next Friday.